What if I told you some of the fastest, most powerful muscle cars in history didn't just rule the drag strip, they served and protected? Some of these high-octane cruisers were so extreme, they got pulled from duty for being too dangerous. Which legendary machines traded their race day glory for the flashing red and blue lights? Buckle up, because we're diving into 6 controversial police muscle cars that blurred the line between law and outlaw. First, let's talk about the Plymouth Roadrunner, an American muscle car that stormed streets and later, surprisingly, highways as a cop car. The question that arises when a car is inspired after a cartoonist racer hits the road in the company uniform. This wasn't your everyday patrol car on the street, in look and in deed, but said engine came with a 440 cubic inch V8 engine under its hood, which could generate up to 390 horsepower and 490 pound-feet of torque, with an estimated 0 to 60 miles per hour acceleration within 4.5 seconds, and a top speed of approximately 140 miles per hour. You could think of the car as a rocket compared to civilian vehicles. However, what made the Roadrunner such a sensible pick was not the sheer speed alone here. It was tough, dependable, and as for a muscle car, quite reasonable. That way, you don't need to spend the entire budget of the precinct on a car, whether it looks sweet parked outside the donut shop or not. The Roadrunner was strong enough to endure the rough conditions of the DA's highway patrol job, where endurance was a virtue as well as speed. Of course, the roaring engine wasn't the only thing that made drivers doubt whether it was worth speeding. The Roadrunner was a mean machine. Long, slinky hood line, deepened muscular, sharp lines, and bright red police striping on the side, behind which any driver could see himself in the mirror and immediately hit the brakes. But what about the name of the car? Like this, if you want to take a car in a hot pursuit, might as well do it in one named after a cooperative who was always one step ahead of the other Scooby. What made the Roadrunner even more interesting that it was a police car was that Plymouth had a police package. This included elements such as high suspension systems, improved brakes together with stronger frames, which were ideal for the rugged use expected in high-speed pursuits. These modifications ensured that the Roadrunner could handle not only speed, but also durability over long stretches of highway or rough terrain. Another quirky fact, the police version often came with a simplified interior. No frills, just a focus on function, like reinforced seats to handle gear belts and a certified speedometer to clock precise speeds. So imagine this, you're barreling down the freeway, blasting your favorite tunes, thinking you're invincible, and then bam, the Roadrunner is on your tail. Good luck explaining that one to your friends. And speaking of muscle-bound legends, let's rev up to our next powerhouse. Could this be the car that made criminals think twice before hitting the gas? The Dodge Polara Pursuit. A car so fast, it made speed limits look like mere suggestions. The Polara was a purpose-built predator designed to dominate the highways of America. With engines like the legendary 440 Magnum V8, this beast could produce up to 375 horsepower and 480 pound-feet of torque. It was built to catch anyone daring enough to test the law on the open road. California, with its endless stretches of highway, became the Polara's natural habitat. This was the car you didn't want to see in your rearview mirror, especially if you had a lead foot. Capable of speeds upwards of 130 miles per hour, it was one of the fastest police vehicles of its time. The Polara was about presence. With its wide stance, sharp angles, and a front grille that seemed to sneer at you, it was as intimidating as it was functional. And when you heard the growl of its engine, you knew it wasn't messing around. But let's take a pit stop for a moment. If you're enjoying this ride down memory lane, why not hit the like button? Maybe even subscribe. After all, you don't want to miss the next twist in our high-octane story. Now, back to the action. We're bending the muscle car rules here just a bit, but the Ford Mustang SSP deserves a spot on this list. The SSP, or Special Service Package, was a variant of the iconic Mustang designed specifically for law enforcement. This car was smart, sleek, and ready to chase down anything that moved. Under the hood, the Mustang SSP featured a 5-liter V8 engine capable of producing 225 horsepower and 300 pound-feet of torque. That may not sound like much by today's standards, but in the 80s, it was enough to make it one of the quickest police cars on the road. And with a top speed of 140 miles per hour, it could catch speeders before they even realized they were being chased. The Mustang SSP was lightweight, agile, and easy to handle, perfect for highway patrols and urban chases alike. The Mustang SSP was a technological marvel for its time. Police departments outfitted it with specialized equipment, like calibrated speedometers, upgraded alternators for powering lights and sirens, and reinforced oil coolers to handle extended high-speed runs. Its lightweight design also translated to better fuel efficiency compared to traditional police cruisers, a major plus for departments looking to cut costs during the fuel crises of the 1980s. In total, Ford produced over 15,000 SSP Mustangs, and some are still sought after by collectors today. Its sleek design also made it a favorite among officers who wanted to look cool while laying down the law. And really, who wouldn't want to pull over bad guys in a Mustang? But wait, what if I told you there's a police car so secretive that it was never officially documented? A vehicle rumored to have been tested by certain law enforcement agencies during the late 1970s, but mysteriously disappeared from records. According to whispers among car enthusiasts, this prototype was equipped with a 350 cubic inch V8 engine capable of producing over 400 horsepower. With a top speed rumored to be around 150 miles per hour, it was faster than anything else on the streets at the time. Why didn't it make the cut? Well, it's said that during its test phase, the Camaro's monstrous performance terrified even the officers driving it. Allegedly, the car's power was deemed too dangerous for standard patrols, and the project was quietly shelved. But here's the kicker. There are rumors that a handful of these beasts were sold off at government auctions, disguised as civilian cars. Imagine buying a Camaro at an auction only to discover it had been a secret police car with all the bells and whistles still intact. It's like owning a muscle car with a superhero's secret identity. Wild, right? Let's shift gears now and head down under, where Australian police were making their own muscle car magic. In Australia, the Chrysler Valiant Charger was the king of the road and the king of police chases. But how did one muscle car manage to tame the unforgiving Australian outback? With its distinctive design and powerful Hemi 6-cylinder engines, this car was built to dominate the highways. Some models, like the E49, boasted an impressive 302 horsepower at a top speed of 130 miles per hour. Not bad for a car designed to patrol the sprawling Australian outback. The Charger was perfect for the unique challenges of Australian police work. Its rugged build and powerful engine allowed it to handle the rough terrain and long distances often required of highway patrols. Plus, it had a certain cool factor that made it a favorite among officers. But what really set the Charger apart was its sound. That deep, throaty growl could be heard long before it came into view, sending a clear message to any would-be speedsters. You can run, but you can't hide. And speaking of legends, let's talk about another Australian icon. Could the car that chased criminals also become the star of an apocalyptic blockbuster? Ford Falcon GT and XB, 1970s. The Ford Falcon GT and XB were practically superheroes on wheels. These cars were equipped with powerful V8 engines, with some models producing up to 300 horsepower. Built for speed and durability, they were the perfect tools for keeping the roads safe, or at least as safe as they could be with muscle cars flying around. The Falcon's aggressive styling and impressive performance made it a favorite among Australian police forces. It was especially popular for highway patrols, where its speed and handling capabilities were put to the test. And let's be honest, seeing one of these bad boys in your rearview mirror was enough to make anyone pull over without a fight. But the Falcon was a cultural icon. Its role in movies like Mad Max only added to its legendary status. So, if you ever find yourself in a high-speed chase in the Australian outback, just pray it's not a Falcon chasing you. Now, for our final ride, let's rev into the world of Holden. Last, but definitely not least, the Holden Monaro, a car that could give any muscle car a run for its money. With its powerful V8 engines and sleek design, the Monaro was a force to be reckoned with. Some models, like the GTS, featured engines capable of producing up to 300 horsepower and speeds over 130 miles per hour. The Monaro was built for high-speed pursuits, making it a favorite among Australian police forces. Its combination of power, durability, and style made it one of the most effective and intimidating police cars of its time. And let's not forget its iconic status in Australian car culture. Even today, the Monaro is remembered as one of the greatest muscle cars ever built. So, there you have it, 6 shocking muscle cars that once wore the badge. These cars weren't just about catching criminals, they were about making a statement. They represented an era where law enforcement needed speed, power, and just a little bit of swagger. Before we hit the brakes on this journey, don't forget to subscribe and share this video with your fellow car enthusiasts. And the next time you see a classic muscle car, remember, it might just have a little police history under the hood.